Hello, and welcome everyone. So today we're going to be working with IAM. So we're going to be going through it via the IAM console itself. So this is the home console of the AWS environment. So let's go ahead and head to IAM. Now, mind you, IAM stands for Identity and Access Management. Now we have recently visited this service, so it's going to appear on the recently visited services, as you can see. But if it doesn't appear here and we want to quickly access IAM, we can go to the search. Right here on the search, we can put in IAM, and then when we type in IAM, it pops up. So once IAM comes up, then we can now select IAM. So mine is taking some time, but within a short while, there we go. So once IAM comes up, you can go into the IAM what? Environment. Now, IAM is one of the first services you need to understand and learn if you are new to AWS. Now, what is IAM all about? Let me talk. Now, one of the fastest way to understand what IAM is all about is to go through the documentation itself. But since we are using the hands-on approach, this is where I would enlighten you a little bit on IAM. So, by the right hand side, you will see this question mark. So once you click on this, it pulls up some contents in regards to what I am. A very short content and also a to learn area where it is going to take you to where you can now have an deep sight of IAM, the services, the sub services, and in a lecture based approach, right? So right here it says IAM dashboard shows a summary of what security recommendation and IAM resources in your account. So what does this mean? Just like I said, this is one of the first services you need to learn and understand if you are new to what? AWS. This particular service allows you to authenticate and be authorized to come into your AWS account itself. As you can see on the dashboard, I have users. Now I'm one of the users right here, and if you look by the top right hand side, you will see my name. Now this is the account ID of this AWS what environment. So let's look at some of the subtopics right here in IAM. Now when you look by the left hand side, you see where it says user groups, you see where it says users, you see where it says roles, you see where it says policies, and the list goes on and on. Now, if you are studying for the CCP, you need to focus on what? User groups, users, role, policy. Now, one of the things that has been newly added, which you need to understand and learn, is what IAM Identity Center as well. So, let's begin with user groups. When we talk about user groups, you need to understand that as a user, you can have multiple, staffs working in your environment, and these multiple staff working in your environment may be required to handle one specific project. It could be any project at all, but this project would require a portion or some of the group members working in your environment. And this project needs to be assigned a resource, right? When I mean a resource, they need to be assigned a role for a resource more specifically. Now, it will be a hustle for you to assign individual permissions or roles to your staffs. So one of the easiest way to go about it is to have them in a group and then attach these policies to that group and have everyone assume, right, the policy and then be able to execute each rule that has been given to them. Then we have the users. When we talk about a user, I am a user. We have a good number of users here, not much, but these are some of the users in one of the accounts in our company, as you can can see. Now, these users have the um, permission, right, to work with resources, right? Now, as a user, you can become, someone that plays around with the AWS resources, someone that creates other users, roles, policies, and groups, and assign it to another individual, or you can go as far as, provisioning or creating applications or resources because you have the permission to do so. We have a role. Right here on roles, you can understand roles from a very good and also different perspective. When we talk about a role from here, it says an IAM role is an identity you can create that has specific permissions with credentials that are valid for short durations. So, what does this entail in a nutshell? This simply means that you can grant temporary permissions to an individual to execute a specific task. Now, this is one of the reasons why we have a role. And as you can see, when we talk about roles, it goes a lot more in depth. We're going to be touching upon that as we progress. Lastly, we have policies. Now, these policies are JSON documents. From the AWS account, it says policy is an object in AWS that defines a permission. It specifies exactly what you can do in the AWS account and what you can't do in a simple terms. And when we talk about policy, we have different types of policies. We're going to be expanding that as we progress. Now, as you can see, when we click on one of these policies right here, and it brings up the drop down, you can see the JSON documents, right? Now, policies are differentiated. We have different types of policies. When you look at this, this is AWS what managed. So we're going to be touching up on different types of policies as we progress. Last but not the least, what you need to know is IAM what identity what center. Now, when we talk about IAM identity center, we are pretty much going to a different perspective or a different resource, right? So this is one of the resources offered to you by AWS. It's different from IAM. IAM is a service on its own. This is also a service on its own. In a nutshell, the IAM Identity Center enables you to manage workflow. If you have multiple users, multiple groups, multiple organizations, and multiple accounts, including applications, you will be able to manage the workforce more effectively within these distributed accounts and applications. Now, this is the job of IAM Identity Center. With that being said, we're going to stop here. Stay tuned for the next video. Thank you.